Hi, it's the end of 2024, um, and I've been asked a few questions about what's been happening around the world and what I can see coming. So I'll probably sit down at length and do a long video when I get the downloads. I don't ask Spirit; I wait for them to give it to me. A few questions I've been asked with the drones in America. The energy around that feels to be man-made, man-created, and science. They're the two words that I was given. Was it's man and it's science connected, so not aliens. So I haven't got a reason why and who. I don't have that. I don't have any kind of fear. um, I know there's a few people that have been seeing things in different countries, in just in a few locations. Like I'm in Australia, I haven't where I live, I haven't seen anything, or my relatives haven't seen anything. People I speak to online haven't seen anything. Um, but one of my sons works in outback Australia, and he said the sky at night time out there is absolutely amazing. You see stars, you see movement, you see things flying. He said it's just you see stuff out in the outback that you just don't see in city areas. Um, but he has no fear. He has said I haven't seen anything that's created any kind of fear. Um, but like it is, goes to show if we were going to have some kind of uh, intellect from another dimension or another space, when they've come into our atmosphere, if that was going to happen on a mass scale, you can see by the comments online on who's interested, who's excited, and who is in total fear. I kind of think there's a lot of people in fear, and it's just the fear of the unknown. Um, yeah, people just get scared of stuff they don't know about. So, yeah, so that was man made or man created science, something to do with science studies. Anyway, so, and then in Australia, I see the housing situation is going to, well, not change, but the government's going to try and do things to make it better. And I did hear the other day that they were going to be building a lot more apartments or living for people, which will be, you'll be able to have a 5-term lease, and also it'll be within a bracket of the lower incomes can afford. So it's not asking ridiculous amounts of rent like some private landlords are doing. That will happen, but the building industry has shortages of builders and supply. So I sort of had this picture in my head of it going around in a loop. Back in the 80s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, there was a lot of apprenticeships. Lots of young men, mainly at the time men, it wasn't so much women back then, but men went into apprenticeships of builders, plumbers, electricians. They built the infrastructure we needed. Then it was when my kids were in the 90s at school, they started phasing that out, and the government was bringing in, you have to be IT, you have to learn computers, computers were the thing, the computers were going to be the future. And they took away like the big woodworking, plastics, all those lessons that they did at school. They were still there, but nowhere near as much as what they were taught earlier on. So kids were leaving high school and going into university to get further studies. And we lost a lot of trades. And now that's doing a full circle where it's come back where we know we need a lot of trades again. So it's really weird how these cycles go, because another thing I noticed was in the 80s, the Howard government was promoting women. So I was a young mum in the 80s, promoting women to stay home and look after their children so that they weren't put in childcare. But we were given a government payment to do that. We were given the incentive to stay home, look after our own kids. But our elderly were put into aged care. There was I can remember lots of mums my age being home with their kids, but our grandparents were all going into aged care facilities. And then now in this, it's like mums are encouraged to go to work and put their kids in childcare from a very early age, and the elderly are now encouraged to stay in their own homes, because then they brought the NDIS in so that people can stay in their own homes. So it's kind of gone round in a circle, and I see the apprenticeship situation doing the same. So there'll be a lot of incentive for builders, plumbers, electricians, the people that build infrastructure. So that's going to change. And what else could I see happening? A lot of, still on properties, I've seen this before, a lot of holiday homes being sold, and a lot of investment properties being sold. So whether there is something that the government do bring in, which seems, it has a feeling of this is unfair. It's unfair to the people that are trying to invest money and make money off property, but it's a way the government seems to have come up with to reduce the amount of properties that one person can own, especially overseas investors. Anyone overseas that owns a house in Australia that doesn't live in it and is using it as an investment, there is either a higher tax they have to pay, there's the negative gearing is dropped. I don't know what it is, but it just seems that you'll be seeing a lot more of those type of properties sell. Whether it's people just can't afford the upkeep, I don't know. I don't have all the answers. I just get a vision, and that was one of them around the property thing. I don't see a lot of change around money. I know that I've always felt like money was going to be more digital, but as time's gone on, it feels like there is an uproar of people that will, they still want cash, and they will, people, when they get together and they band together, they can create a rule, a law, and the government have to listen because they want the people to vote for them. So I still see that cash is still going to be there. Maybe they've tried to change things and it's just not working in their favour. I will sit down sometime during the holidays and see if I can get stuff on different countries. I've said for a long time the USA is imploding on itself. The people that live there have to drop their programmed thoughts. So the rest of the world looking in at how they are programmed to think. And I actually was on a podcast the other day there's a group of us that we all talk spiritual topics, and what's he called? I'm just trying to think what the word is. Propagate the Light is the name on YouTube. He does live streams, and I've been on there a couple of times where we just talk about all things spiritual, and there's a lot of Americans on the panel, and I'm the only Australian on there. And I actually said to them the other day, when I notice a lot on comments when Americans are commenting, they all have a religious view, and they all I don't know, they all just have this certain view. And I said to them, do you all go to church on Sunday? Even though it might be different religions, do you all go to church on Sunday? And the guys on the panel were saying basically yes. And it's like they go to school and they go to church, and they're taught their curriculum at school, and they're taught their beliefs at church. And now as adults, it's ingrained in their system. And I said to them, in Australia, there's a lot of people that do go to church, but there's an awful lot of people that don't. We just don't go to church on Sunday. Whereas over there, the majority do, but over here, majority I'd say don't. But there's still a lot that do. We've got a balance of the beliefs. I think we're more open to understanding different beliefs, not just being stuck in the one way of thinking. And this is where I feel like in America, their belief systems are imploding. Like they're starting to see the rest of the world views things totally different. And there is another world outside of the USA. And So it kind of feels very sad for a lot of people that live there, because there's a lot of very, very intelligent, switched on people. And they have to still go through this destruction. It's like it's all being pulled apart and destructed, their belief system. Yeah, it's messy. It's just got that really messy feeling to it. Um, I remember saying I didn't think Donald Trump was going to get in. I thought it was going to be someone younger that looks like JD Vance. We'll see what happens if January comes and Trump gets in. Maybe he's not in for very long, and then JD Vance takes over. Politicians in Australia, I felt like we are going to. Albanese won't be, when the next election, he'll be out. He won't be voted back in. What other topics? I don't know. In the spiritual side of things, I remember I've been talking about it for ages. 2020 to 2025 was a not destruction, that's not the word. When everything falls apart, it's belief systems changing, people thinking differently. And you look at individual people that have left marriages, left jobs, done something totally different. In the last 5 years since COVID, have really changed their whole life. Or they start to look after themselves a lot better, or they're looking after their health a lot better. So it's like deconstructing the way things were. But from 2025 to 2030, we actually see a lot of physical change, like in our reality. Before, you could imagine things and you could think, oh, I think it's going to look like this, or I think it's going to look like that. Between the next 5 years, it shows up in reality. In reality, you actually see. Also, you can't hide lies. In 2020 to 25, it was like truth was going to come out. Remember, I put that post up that had those 5 different things, and one of them was like, the truth will be revealed. And the amount of people that you're seeing online that have done wrong, that have SA'd people, or embezzled money, or have been a hidden narcissist, or whatever they have been exposed. There's that many people that have been exposed. So that's still going to happen, but it's like we get to see what we've wanted to see. With the changes that we've wanted to happen, will start to happen in the next 5 years. So anyway, I'll sit down when I have some time, and when Spirit want to give me more, and I'll see what I can get with individual countries, or, sometimes you sit there and you say, I want predictions, and they'll show you floods, bushfires, because I had a horrible feeling you remember Ash Wednesday in 1983? In Australia, I had that horrible feeling that this year was going to be another one of those, like bushfire seasons. But then I sit down and they'll show me bushfires or floods or earthquakes. I'm like, can you show me the good stuff? What's the good stuff? So if I start seeing all the bad stuff, I think I might filter it out and just say, well, what's the good stuff that's coming? Because I think we've had enough of the bad stuff, haven't we? And I want to thank everybody that has supported me throughout the year, that watches my videos. If you don't watch and you don't click the like button, I don't get viewed. Like, if you like it, someone else will like it as well, or see it. I get the exposure. Whether I'm interesting or whether I'm not interesting, it doesn't really matter. I just feel like I'm supposed to speak. Thank you for those of you that have bought readings throughout the year. You keep food on my table, and you also keep me inspired to keep doing it, because sometimes when I have a lull and there's nothing happening, I think maybe I'll just retire. Maybe I'll just stop doing this. But I don't want to. Thank you for all the wonderful emails I get throughout the year. Thank you to the people that write to me and say, you did a reading for me 5 years ago and it all unfolded. That is such an inspiration for me to hear back, because at the time they'll say it never made any sense. I had a lady say to me the other day, you told me something 4 years ago, and at the time she said it made no sense, and I thought, well, that's not right. And she said it damn well unfolded, how I didn't expect, and it was exactly as you visualized it. So I love hearing stories like that. So hope everyone has a lovely Christmas, whatever you celebrate, and I hope that 2025 is a year that you dedicate to you, giving the love back to you, because when you make yourself strong, when you make yourself able to handle every emotion, you won't be afraid to go into anything, because you know even if it doesn't work, you know you'll be able to handle the emotions because you've done the work on yourself. So Merry Christmas.